All right, guys, I just wanted to give my quick reaction to all of the Christmas Eve games on a very cold day across the NFL. Kind of talk about what happened in each of these games, the betting situation, where the teams are trending, things like that. I'm going to go over kind of a rapid fire style. Take a minute, talk about each of these games, where the teams are at. So, guys, starting, we are going to go with the Thursday night game. Jacksonville beating the Jets. Zach Wilson has completely turned into a total bust. There's already rumors the Jets are apparently done with Zach Wilson. He will not be back with the team next year. This is a number 2 overall pick last year. Unbelievable. I said it. It's archived. I said, I don't know why Zach Wilson is being talked about ahead of Justin Fields. This is documented, guys. I said it. Look it up. And then for Jacksonville, you know what, guys? The one bet I said, take the under. It's rainy. It's not good weather. I thought Trevor Lawrence, against a good defense in bad conditions, played well enough on the road in a situation where just don't turn the ball over. Zach Wilson is so bad. It's not going to matter. They do that. They ball control it. The under hits, and Jacksonville does win that game. Also, Trevor Lawrence breaks a pretty crazy trend where he was 0-8 against the spread when he was, I think, like a 2.5-point favorite or better. So he breaks that early career trend there. And Jacksonville now, first place in the AFC South, over Tennessee after Tennessee loses. That's big. Them just getting a playoff game would be great for experience reasons with Trevor Lawrence, and he's really turning into a future franchise quarterback for sure. Moving to the Saturday games, the coldest game of the day. They couldn't even heat the field. It was like there was snow stuck to it. If you saw this game, nobody was there. No one in the upper deck. The Saints beating the Browns. This is a completely inexplicable loss by Cleveland. There's no way you should lose this game. The only way you lose this game is if you beat yourself. That's exactly what happened with Deshaun Watson. Both of these teams, less than 250 yards of total offense. They couldn't do anything. I said to take the under 32, even though it was a historical low under. I said take the under, and the smart money was in on the Saints plus 2.5. I give people credit for that because I did not trust the Saints to win this game on the road, and I do think it's a situation where the Browns lost this game more than the Saints won it. Andy Dalton could not throw the ball. Then again, neither could Deshaun Watson. So the Saints get it done. Both of these teams sitting at 6-9. The Browns officially eliminated from the playoffs. But I will say something. I really think people have to calm down on the idea that the Browns need to fire Kevin Stefanski. He is a good football coach, and he needs to be given a full year with Deshaun Watson. I'm all in on the Browns next year. I think they go way over whatever their win total will be projected at. I think they'll be great next season. That's just my opinion. Don't overreact. Kevin Stefanski is a good coach. It's been a weird year. They do have to get a new defensive coordinator, but this is an inexplicable loss to a dome team without their star rookie receiver Chris Olave. Not a good situation there. How about the Buffalo Bills down at halftime, coming back and easily beating Chicago? Justin Fields, I mean, there's no help. There's literally nothing there. Claypool out, Moody out. They already have a bad receiving core as it is. Now they're down their top 2 receivers. And what Buffalo really did here is they limited Justin Fields' ability to run the football. I think he had 7 carries for 11 yards. If I would have known the receivers were going to be out, I would certainly have said to go in on Buffalo minus the 9. It actually got bet down, and even though they were down at halftime, they end up winning. Not a great day for Josh Allen. I will say that there was a lot of people that kind of had this outside hope that Josh Allen, this still might be his year to win the MVP after the really good performance last Saturday against Miami, the comeback win. It's not good enough in terms of the MVP. The 2 interceptions are really going to to hurt, and especially with Mahomes I don't think turning the ball over in his game against Seattle. I think Mahomes pretty much locked up the MVP. Although you can't say that completely because there are 2 weeks left. But Allen needed a really clean finish to the season, and those 2 interceptions are going to hurt. Buffalo, really, really good team. They're sitting at 12-3, and I do have the Buffalo Bills going to the Super Bowl. They are my Super Bowl champions this year. A lot of people picked them, but certainly I'm standing by that. They're a complete team, and they do what they should do on the road against the Chicago team. Again, Justin Fields is a very dynamic quarterback. He can throw. He just needs weapons. And really, I want to see Justin run a lot less next year because I'm concerned about injuries and really maybe only run kind of like Russell Wilson did in his prime where you avoid all the big hits and stuff like that because we see these quarterbacks get injured so often. And Chicago, certainly with a top 2 or 3 pick, you need to trade down. Trade down, get more assets, draft at least 1 top wide receiver, maybe even 2 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds. That's what you need to do. And Justin Fields will have some weapons there. Next, we have Kansas City beating Seattle 24-10. I loved the under 49. It was simply too many points for Geno Smith. He's been playing worse recently. He's without Tyler Lockett. He's on the road. It's 10 degrees, the wind chills in the negatives. Everything pointed to the under 49.5, and we totally nailed it. And Kansas City ends up covering this 9.5 point spread. Seattle is now 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games. Kenneth Walker over 100 yards. I'm surprised they gave him 26 carries. They were losing the whole game. You would think that'd be a negative game script. Mahomes, very clean. The 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, only 28 pass attempts. They were leading the entire game. Travis Kelce goes over 100 yards, the tight end. He might end up actually leading the league in receiving, or I'm guessing he'll be number 2 to Justin Jefferson. But guys, Geno Smith is coming back down to earth, and things are really going to come to a head for the Seattle Seahawks. I think you got to look to move on from Geno. You're going to get a top 4 or 5 pick. I think what do you have, the Rams? Oh, no, they've got Denver's pick. So you're going to get a top, I would say 5-ish pick. Geno Smith is not the future. He's had a nice season, but he's not the future. There were rumors they were going to give him a big contract extension. I think that would be very bad. You've got weapons. You've got a young emerging running back. You've got Tyler Lockett, but he's not he's getting up there in terms of 31 years old, I think. And then DK Metcalf, who's a superstar. So guys, Seattle's in a place right now. They've got 2 first-round picks. Maybe they move up and draft a C.J. Stroud, a Will Levis. They get lucky. Maybe they get Bryce Young, but I think he's going number 1 overall to Houston. We will see Kansas City at 12-3. They're jockeying Buffalo. They both want that number 1 overall seed and the bye that comes with it. Next, we have Minnesota beating the New York Giants 27-24. Crazy stat on Daniel Jones when he's like 1-point underdog to 7-point underdog. He's 12-1 against the spread. So guys, if you knew that, I was telling everyone, bet the Giants plus the 4. They're going to cover. They end up covering barely. And the kick at the end by Joseph, the 61-yarder or whatever it was, it's ridiculous, guys. I think Minnesota, they've had such a fun season. I'm just not seeing it in the playoffs. I don't think this is sustainable. Maybe it is. Who knows? We saw Cincinnati win 3 straight games by 1 score in the playoffs last year. But certainly with, Minnesota, very, very low point differential in terms of their record at 12-3. So we'll have to see what happens. Dalvin Cook not doing much. Justin Jefferson, another crazy game. Saquon had a nice touchdown run of about 20 yards. How about Daniel Jones over 300 yards and Richie James of all people? Boy, they really need an elite receiver, don't they? That Kadarius Toney pick really set the Giants offense back. They end up losing. That's a tough loss for them. They fall to 8-6-1 there. Next, we have Cincinnati holding on against the Bill Belichick team in Foxborough, 22-18. Cincy up 22-0. I really agree with people. The play in this game was the under. It was under 41 and the total was 40, but still, a Bill Belichick team in Foxborough in cold weather, it's just not going to be a lot of scoring, and that's really exactly what happened. How about Joe Burrow? 40 of 52 for 375. That's really, in terms of completion percentage, really good. T. Higgins has totally emerged as an elite wide receiver, 8 for 128 and a touchdown. Kendrick Bourne goes for 100 yards and a touchdown. New England really struggling to run the ball. Mac Jones, 0 turnovers. But certainly at this point, Mac Jones really, I was warning people last year when he was like, wow, look at how good Mac Jones is as a rookie. I said Mac Jones has a very high floor, which means he's going to come out and play well as a rookie, but he's got a very low ceiling. He will never be an MVP candidate, in my opinion. Low ceiling. He's limited by bad athleticism when all the NFL is getting more athletic. All the quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, they're all more athletic. They all can run at least a little bit and be mobile. You know, it's going to be very hard for Mac Jones, in my opinion, to be a legitimate NFL option at this point. He's kind of a slightly below average quarterback, and that's a very tough loss for New England in terms of the playoff. That would have been a great comeback win. You know, Jamar Chase fumbles late in that game. They get the ball back down 4, but they can't get it done. Cincinnati, 11-4. What a good football team they are. They proved that last year's no fluke, and Joe Burrow is a top 5 quarterback. How about this game? Carolina 37, Detroit 23. Just crazy. Didn't expect it. Detroit was, I think, 7-0 in their last 7 games against the spread. They were 2.5-point favorites, and they got thoroughly thrashed on the ground. I was watching the red zone. Every time they cut to this game, it was a Foreman 40-yard run. It was just crazy. I mean, it felt like they gave up 300 rushing yards in the first half. Just totally outmatched. Jared Goff with a bunch of garbage time stats, 355, 3 touchdowns. DJ Chark goes over 100 yards. How about DJ Moore? Playing well. But guys, if I was a Carolina Panthers fan, I think this is inexplicable. I understand you can't tell these guys to lose, but this is this is malpractice. I mean, winning these games does nothing for you as a franchise except set you back and hurt you in terms of your future. You do not have a lot of draft picks. Even though you traded Christian McCaffrey, you still don't have a lot. You need to get as high as a pick as possible. I think this is setting up for Carolina to get a lower pick and have to trade up and draft a project like Will Levis. And I don't want that for their franchise, but that's what it's setting up. I mean, they can be happy with these wins, but they're completely meaningless. I understand you can't tell guys not to try, but you can say if DJ Moore has an injury, let's not risk it. That's all I'm saying on that. So we'll see what happens. And then Detroit, listen, Detroit's a fun little team. They do have the Rams pick, so they're going to have a top pick anyways. And really, them on the road, it's just their run defense is horrible. I mean, there's nothing else you can say about Detroit. Their run defense is genuinely horrible, and they also can't run the ball either. They really, Jamal Williams to me is an average running back. Swift seems to be injured too much, so they've got to figure that out for next year. Next, we have Baltimore beating Atlanta in a bore fest, 17-9. I'll give Desmond Ridder credit. He didn't turn the ball over. I think Baltimore has the best defense in the NFL, guys. They're just such a good defense. That is a horrible matchup for a rookie. Drake London had some crazy catches in this game. Tyler Algier, amazing rookie running back. He is so good. He fights for yards. And then for Baltimore, they're not doing much on offense. They use their defense. They use turnovers, short fields to generate points, and they end up covering the 7.5-point spread, just like I said they would. They barely cover it, but they do cover it. And obviously the play in this game, with it being Huntley versus Ridder, was the under, even though the over-under was only 35.5. How about this game? You had the weird blackout situation in Nashville where everything froze, and they started this game at 2 o'clock in Houston, who is basically locked up the number 1 overall pick. They do get a win. They're 2-12-1 now. Malik Willis is just simply not ready to play. I think it's obvious, 14 of 23 for 99 and 2 interceptions. It's horrible. Derrick Henry with a good stat line, but a crippling fumble. Both of these teams, Tennessee has no business being anywhere near the playoffs with or without Ryan Tannehill. And certainly I think Jacksonville would be a more fun team to see. Houston, even if you're a Houston fan, I mean, you're fine with this as long as you lock up the number 1 overall pick and very likely draft Bryce Young. I think they'll be fine, but Houston ends up covering the 3-point spread and the under 35 hits. Next, we have San Francisco beating the Commanders by 17 points. I was in on the Commanders. I said take them plus the 7. It obviously did not work out. I think Nick Bosa just completely wrecked it. Well, this game was over when the Commanders, it was 0-0. The Commanders have 4th and goal at the 1. If you're going to upset a team on the road that's better than you, and you have an early drive all the way down to the 1-yard line, just QB sneak it, get the ball in the end zone any way possible. You have to score a touchdown there, and they get stuffed. And then Ray McCloud, of all people, a 71-yard jet sweep. And I'm like, okay, there's no way. And then Nick Bosa basically wrecks the second half. That's the only explanation I have. I will say the Commanders, to me, are a quarterback away. Number one, they shouldn't be playing Chase Young. Chase Young has something like a crazy cast on his leg. Why is he playing in these games? Rest him and let him come back next year without any sort of thing that's hampering his leg. That's what I'll say about Chase Young. There's no point in risking it. And then, guys, the Commanders have a great set of wide receivers, in my opinion, especially Jahan Dotson. The way Jahan Dotson moves, he's a future star receiver. I can see it already. They need a quarterback. They need an elite quarterback. It can't be Jimmy G. That's not the guy you got to go get. It can't be Derek Carr. Go out. Maybe Sam Howell is the guy. I don't know, but I would like to see Sam Howell start next week. Against the Browns. I'd like to see that from the Commanders. And then the 4:25 game, Dallas beating Philadelphia, guys. I sent out a tweet midway through the third quarter when Dallas was down 10. I said, take Dallas money line plus 210. It was an auto lock. I knew Dak was coming back. Dak is so good. And what a game for him. And Zeke gets into the end zone. And really a good game from Gardner Minshew as well, throwing for a bunch of yards. Devontae Smith, the 2 touchdowns. But overall, guys, we knew higher scoring game. I was really surprised the line stuck at 4.5. I said, listen, get in on Dallas minus 4.5. Dak Prescott against his own division in his career, 23-9 against the spread. He's going to pay it off for us, and he does just that even after the bad interception, things like that. He comes back, plays well. They're down by 10 in the second half. They still end up winning. And I will say, Dak Prescott had some really bad clock management there at the end. I mean, my goodness, what was it? With 2 minutes left, you're sliding when you could just throw the ball out of bounds. It was a 2-minute warning. And then even the play before that, going out of bounds, you need to stay in, let the clock run down. I mean, if you're a veteran, you can't be doing that, man. That's real bad, especially when it gets to the playoffs. But they get away with it because, you're facing Minshew and not Jalen Hurts. Certainly, if you're the Eagles, you're fine. You're still looking at the 1 seed, and you're resting Jalen Hurts. You're making sure he's 100% healthy. They still have a very good offense there. And then the nightcap on Christmas Eve, the under was the obvious play here. You had the Steelers come back and win 13-10. They were right around 2.5-point favorites. They end up pushing or barely covering, depending. Derek Carr, this has got to be it for Derek Carr with Vegas. I mean, my goodness, 30 pass attempts. I know it's a tough spot. It's in horrible weather. Very cold. 174 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interception. It's just not good enough. Both running games couldn't get anything going. You've got Hunter Renfrow back. You've got Waller back. You're the more talented team. But the Steelers, riding off the emotion, Franco Harris, things like that, they were able to get the win in this game. So those were all of the Thursday night games and the Christmas Eve games, basically. Just wanted to quickly react to those. We do have the Christmas Day games going on right now. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.